How's it going, everyone? This is Kenan, and today I'm bringing you my first ever Pokemon Go Battle League video. I'm doing this video about my Ultra League team here, which is Charizard, Venusaur, and Alolan Muk. So we've got a lot of the first generation popular fan favorite Pokemon here. And what's nice about these Pokemon is that they're pretty cheap to use in the Ultra League. All three of them max out a little bit over level 30, so they don't have to be like fully maxed out to level 40 by any means. And then Charizard and Venusaur being starters only require 10,000 Stardust to unlock a second move. And Alolan Muk requires 50,000, which is still a lot better than a lot of the legendaries like Giratina that you usually see in this league. So let's hop into our first live battle here. You can see we're climbing up rank 9, about 2,600. And hopefully I'll be able to play while I commentate here. This is a new skill for me. So we lose the lead here, which is very unfortunate because the most important thing for this team is winning the lead. So whenever I see a Giratina, I immediately swap out. And that's because I know they're going to swap out too, but this gives me energy advantage against whatever comes in, which can really swing some matchups. Now, it's important that my Alolan Muk can handle his Giratina here in the end. So he gives me a lot of time here, which is interesting because normally they switch out right away. And what this does is it lets the switch timer run low. And in doing so, it will give me a chance to get my Alolan Muk out of this matchup. And beyond that, he's actually just letting this Scizor take a lot of damage here. And that's great for me as well. Because this one I'm expecting him to shield, but maybe he'll just let it go because he knows my Charizard is there too. No, so he's going to shield that. So this is good because you can see that switch timer is about 75% done, so we're going to be able to switch back out of this and probably bring in our Charizard. And in the meantime, we'll get a lot of loaded energy on Alolan Muk so that when we come back in against the Giratina, we'll be able to fire off some Dark Pulses very quickly. So switch timer is up now. Let's go ahead and switch out into Charizard, and then we'll just farm down the Scizor. So that was pretty great. I could have probably even gotten off one more Snarl on the Alolan Muk before I went for this. But first, let's Dragon Claw here. So this Giratina might have Ancient Power, which would take out the Charizard, but I'm fine with that because it looks like Charizard's main positive matchup here is going to be against Scizor. And we got that Scizor taken out. So we'll see if he has Ancient Power. Another nice thing is that we have a fully healthy Venusaur, which can actually do a surprising amount of damage to Giratina, even though it resists the Grass-type moves. So we're getting off a lot of Dragon Claws, which puts it in a range where we can probably finish off with the Venusaur, if it comes to that, because he has that one shield left over for blocking my Dark Pulse. So he's going to take us out here, but like I said, that should be fine. It's possible he has another Pokemon Wake to Fire in the back, but it's unlikely. So let's bring in our Muk, and we'll try to get off this Dark Pulse, which we do. And I'm imagining he's just going to let this go down because it's pretty low on health. But it's pretty important for us to take this Giratina out because, yeah, so he just lets that go down, and that's fine. So let's see what he's got in the back here, and it's a Charmer, so this is perfect. We're going to go ahead and switch into our Venusaur here. We don't want this Togekiss farming up too much energy. So it's going to be pretty close here. Ideally, I would have been able to use my Alolan Muk as a sacrificial swap when it fires off its Flamethrower or Aerial Ace here, this Togekiss. But we're not going to be able to do that, unfortunately. So we'll just have to race here to get to the Sludge Bomb. Now, Togekiss' moves won't take us out, but they are going to get us low. So it's important here that we can get this final move off before it charms us down. And it's going to be super close, but it looks like we're going to do it and take this first game. So this is one of the things that this team does really well, is beat Charmers. All three Pokemon have moves that are super effective against Charmers, which puts us in a great position against them. Similarly, it does really well against Grass types. We have all three Pokemon are pretty strong against Grass types, since Venusaur and Muk have the Poison typing, and then Charizard has the Fire typing. Now, things this team doesn't do too well are handling Giratina in the lead, which we just saw there, but we were able to bring it back because of that Charmer in the back. Another thing it doesn't do too well against is the Water-type leads, so we'll see if we run into any of those. And the third thing that it doesn't do too well against is Fire types, actually, because Charizard is our best option to them, and that's why we're staying in here. So we'll see if he also stays in. Now, I'm going to overfarm in case he has like a Swampert in the back that he's going to swap out to, but it looks like he's just coming in with the Blast Burn. Now, I shield this first move. It might be a Dragon Claw bait, but I like to shield because, yeah, so it is a bait, but if that was a Blast Burn, okay, so he's going to swap, and we're going to swap into Venusaur here because we don't want a Venusaur matched up against that Charizard. And we know that both Venusaur and Charizard both do about equally well against Snorlax. the Frenzy Plant and Blast Burn are both neutrally effective, and they both deal quite a bit of damage. So he is up on shields here, but we're probably going to get some with our Frenzy Plant. Now, we have to watch out for Snorlax's Earthquake, but overall, Snorlax is a pretty bulky Pokemon. I'm generally not inclined to shield a Snorlax unless I have a lot of loaded energy, and I'm convinced that it's going to be an Earthquake. So this one, I'm guessing, is probably going to be another Body Slam, but we'll see. Okay, good. So it is another Body Slam, which gives us a chance to get to another Frenzy Plant here. And we'll see if he chooses to shield this or not. It's possible he'll just let the Snorlax go down to maintain switch advantage and then farm up some energy. Okay, so he's actually going to block this. So this is good for us because he's not going to be able to farm us down before we get to another charge move. And then we can bring up our Charizard and farm the Snorlax down for a lot of energy. So let's see what happens here. I'm actually going to go for the Dragon Claw here just because I don't want that Snorlax getting off another Body Slam. And I'm expecting him to let it go down at this point. Yeah, so this is fine because we still have a lot of energy farmed up. And it'll be interesting to see what he brings in here. Okay, so he's bringing in his own Charizard, so we're just going straight for Blast Burn here. We know this Charizard also has some stored energy. But we also have Alolan Muck, which does okay against Charizard, and he lets the Blast Burn go through, which is a big deal because now we can just Dragon Claw him down. And he's shielding the cheaper and weaker move if he does choose to shield this, which I think he will. Yeah, because he did have a lot of energy stored up. Now, we still have one shield, and I'm actually going to choose to commit it here. And this is because I think that what he has in the back may be weak to Charizard, just because Snorlax is not a great answer for Charizard, and also... Oh, and it looks like he had another Dragon Claw. So this is actually a good job by him, using those Dragon Claws as bait, storing up energy. We'll see if this takes us out, though. And it doesn't quite, so I'm just going to go for Fast Move Farm Down, but it looks like it doesn't quite do it. So this is fine because it gives our Muck one Snarl energy generation here before it goes down. And now we're just rolling the dice, what's in the back. And it's a Venusaur. So this is good because Alolan Muck walls Venusaur pretty well. This looks like a Razor Leaf Venusaur. Which is a bit different. I'm actually not too sure how this matchup plays out, but it looks like that Razor Leaf isn't doing too much damage. We resist it with the poison typing. So we should be good to go here. So we saw a pretty neutral lead this time. We're just going for the Dark Pulse, going to try to finish this thing off. Maybe we'll need two more Snarls, but we should be good to go. But what this team does really well is when it does win the lead. So when Charizard gets faced off against like a Grass type or a Fairy Pokemon, or even an Ice type, we can do really well. Registeel is another good example of Steel type. That's when this team really shines. And I would consider this an anti-meta team, basically. So I'd recommend using this team if you're tired of using like Giratina and Registeel, or if you just don't have them, because they are very, very inexpensive. This team is a great alternative. It's a lot of fun with the fan favorite Pokemon in there. So let's see what we get. This time we get a Clefable, which is perfect. So we know that he's probably going to switch out here. And that's just because they're probably expecting that they have a better answer for Charizard in the back, but it looks like they're actually staying in. So this is fine. Ideally, I like to get my Venusaur matched up against the Charmer, but Charizard does pretty good as well, resisting the charms. And it looks like they just let that Blast Burn go through. So this is great for us because we're just going to slowly farm this Clefable down. It's going to get one charge move off, and sure, we'll commit a shield here to keep our Charizard healthy. But that was a great lead for us because we just took out that Pokemon. We have lots of energy farmed up. We're down one shield, but we're in a very advantageous position. So I'm actually just going to Blast Burn and then let my Charizard go down. And the reason is that I want to make sure my Venusaur matches up against his Swampert. If I switch out, then he'll switch out too. And he actually blocks that, which is great. So now he's going to over-farm, though, which is a bit unfortunate. But it's fine, because our Venusaur just does so well against Swampert. Even if it Earthquakes, we'll still take it out. So I'm expecting him to swap out when he sees the Venusaur. And we'll see here if he chooses to do that. So he doesn't, which is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and shield this. It could be a Hydro Cannon bait, but... no, it's an Earthquake, so that's good because that would do a lot of damage to us. So now he's switching out. I'm going to go ahead and switch too. And it looks like this is a pretty good matchup for us as well. Venusaur, of course, can do okay in the mirror, and then Muck is also a great wall to Venusaur. So we're looking to be in a good position once again. And so as this battle kind of winds down, I'll probably stop commentating on it just because we're in a very favorable position. Hopefully I don't bite my words and end up losing there. But I want to just make a couple other comments on this team and maybe what my channel in general will be about. So one thing that I would say about this team is if you are leading with Charizard, which you should be, because Venusaur and Muk are great bodyguards for Charizard, you basically only want to switch out if you come up against a Giratina. Okay, so this is actually a very interesting situation because we're switch locked into the Swampert and he's over farming like crazy. But because we get the Dark Pulse, we should win here because we already have our Venusaur all charged up. So even if he completely farms us down, which it looks like he won't, and then yeah, we'll just switch in and go instant Frenzy Plant. No worries there. So this was a pretty dominant win. And this is where this team really shines, is when you get good type matchups and you get your Pokemon aligned in the way that you want them aligned. So we won the lead going against Clefable, and then we had Venusaur for Swampert and Alolan Muk for his Venusaur. And we lined them up perfectly. So in general, you don't want to switch out your lead, is what I was saying. Unless you're up against Giratina, since Charizard gets wrecked pretty quickly by Giratina with his lower defense stats, and also against water types, you're going to need to switch out. But when you do switch out, it's generally worth committing your shields. Or even if you are just trying to win the lead against a neutral matchup like Articuno. Okay, so this is a great lead. So I'm sure he's going to switch out right away here. Yep. And he's going into a Togekiss. So we're going to go into our Venusaur. Venusaur is a great answer for Togekiss. We may have to commit a shield against the Aerial Ace here. But we'll get to our charge moves much faster, and Sludge Bomb will completely take it out. So we're once again in a great position, right? We won the lead. Oh, and he's actually going to let that go, which is surprising. Maybe he thought it was a Frenzy Plant bait. And he's just going to forfeit. Yeah, so that's where this team really shines, is when you get those matchups. And yeah, this anti-meta team, you know, the Pokemon aren't the strongest. They don't have the best stats. But they are very good against meta Pokemon. You know, you've got Charizard against Registeel. You've got Alolan Muk against Giratina. You've got Venusaur against Swampert, who are some of the like big three. And even other Pokemon like Armored Mewtwo and Cresselia also fall to Alolan Muk. So the key is always just getting the right matchup here, because you don't have those jack-of-all-trades type Pokemon. So here he's going to switch out. And he's switching into Alolan Muk, which is a great counter to Venusaur. So what I'm going to try to do here is get my Venusaur charged up before the switch timer runs out, and then try to switch out. So it looks like he might have overfarmed there a little bit. I kind of lost count, but I'm going to let this move go through, hoping that it's just a Dark Pulse, and it is. So that's pretty good. It does a lot of damage, but it doesn't take us out, and Snarl doesn't do a lot of damage, Muk's fast move. So we're in a good position here. Ideally, I want my Venusaur matched up against that Swampert in the end, though. So let's see. He's got this attack incoming. We're for sure going to shield this. We could probably shield again afterward, but I might actually just go for the Frenzy Plant takedown here. So let's see. That's 2, and then we'll Frenzy Plant. We could have maybe even gone for one more Snarl there, but as I do the live commentary, I am kind of losing track of this. So let's see. We'll just stay in here. We're going to shield this for sure. And then we should be able to fast move down if he doesn't choose to switch out. And so this is exactly what I wanted, right? We've got Venusaur fully charged. So he is switching out, and he's bringing in Giratina. So then we're going to instant switch out here to our Muk, who's going to be a great counter for this Giratina. So once again, we're just getting perfect matchups. And I actually wish that some of these matches had gone a little bit worse, so that we could see sort of when this team doesn't excel. So, you know, when they have some counters, how you can kind of play around that. But in general, I would say this team gets most of its wins based on team composition. So you're winning your games by having a Pokemon that do super effective damage against your opponent. You're not winning based on stats or having these ultra strong legendaries or anything like that. So we're going to get a very damaging Dark Pulse off here before we get Dragon Breath down. And we're just in a fantastic position here. So hopefully this video has kind convince you that this is a pretty solid team overall, great anti-meta team, even though it does have some weaknesses, like Kingdra is a great example of a Pokemon. So this is an interesting situation because I don't want my Charizard against his... So we'll see if this is an Ancient Power. I don't want my Charizard against his Swampert, but if this is an Ancient Power, this is just as bad. But it's just a Dragon Class, so that puts us in a good spot here. We'll see if he tries to do a Sacrificial Swap or anything here. But no, it looks like he's just staying in, so we get a nice Dragon Claw off to finish it off, and then we can win with our Venusaur going for Frenzy Plant. So let's just do a quick swap, instant Frenzy Plant, and we should be good to go here because he's out of shields. So that'll wrap up this video. I hope my commentary was not too bland or fast or drawing. Let's just finish off this muck as well. God, he even had that back there. But yeah, so I hope that this team will help some people out who are looking for like a fun budget team to play in Ultra League. And like I said, I'm climbing up rank 9 here. So yeah, we're in a very great spot with this team, and I hope you'll try it out. In the future, I want this channel to be very analytical, so I'm gonna focus on content that is like very, very specific, deep diving into things like what to do if you lose a lead, what to when to give up switch advantage, when to give up shield advantage, things like that, and also like some tools you can use to improve your gameplay. So I'm going to sign off for now, and I'm definitely going to work on improving my live commentary in the future. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.